morning for practice, I would like to ask you to do a little activity before we settle in. And I've already done the activity because I knew I was going to ask you to do this. I know that you're not all in your own personal dwelling right now. You might be in somebody else's home, or maybe you're visiting friends, for example. And so this is not to say you're going to get permanent objects for what I'm going to ask you to do, but if you could find some objects in your reach. So I'll start here. An object that could represent the, let's say, indwelling presence, or maybe it represents the teacher who connected you to that indwelling presence. And you are students of yoga, so you know what I'm referring to when I say your indwelling presence. So it could be an object that represents that, or a teacher that gave you the guidance, or you kind of got this transmission from them, or you felt like in their presence, something in you became real and other things kind of fell away. We spoke about this yesterday in the yoga therapy training, like a phrase that I heard from my teacher, Catherine Ingram, which was spoken first by Nisargadatta. He said, "Wisdom tells me that I am nothing, and love tells me that I am everything. And in between the two, my life is unfolding, or my life is flowing." So Catherine was one of those people for me who, in her presence and with her teachings, that inner self awakened. So let's say that this represents her for me this morning. Second thing, I'd like you to find an object that would represent like a younger version of yourself, or maybe yesterday, it was as recent as yesterday, that was kind of in the throes of suffering or confusion, or, if you could visit that younger self, or yesterday's self, or last year's self, if you could visit them from a place of love and compassion in you, if you could visit them today, what would represent that part of yourself? So that's what I have here. This is a little canvas bag that has these ties on it. And inside there are these other little gems, these components. So this represents the complicated version of me who was struggling so much with my eating disorder, with anxiety, with depression, with shame. She was struggling so much that if I could have swooped in and visited her at that time to give her some solace or some counsel, well, that would have been amazing. And then a third object, and I'll give you a chance to go get these objects, of course. A third object is someone to whom you want to offer your practice, because they don't have a sense of their indwelling self right now. And perhaps their suffering self is taking up the whole screen. So someone to whom, or a group of people to whom you'd want to offer your practice. And this happens to be a candle. I don't know if you can see that. It's a candle here shaped like a heart. It's a very tall, cylindrical heart-shaped candle. So I'm actually going to get a lighter so I can light this candle. So I'd like you to get those three things. There's your inner self, or the teacher who helped you to get there, a previous version of you that was struggling, and someone or some people that you don't want to offer your practice to. And pardon me as I get a lighter for my candle. I'll be right back. Okay. I know some of you are still getting your objects, and that is totally fine, understandable, and I appreciate your willingness to try it on. Okay, I'm going to light my candle. And to support my candle, I'm going to get the bottom of it to melt into this little holder, representing the 5 elements. The element of fire is a little fire stick. Okay, I have to make my candle stable because I do have kittens here. Okay, there we go. Now you don't have to have a candle. I just happen to have one of my objects is a candle. Now, in your region, let's say you have the top of your yoga mat. Let's place that which represents the indwelling self or the inner teacher that you had as once a teacher that helped you to understand there was an inner self, and place that in front of you. And then taking this inner self that historically was you, maybe suffering or struggling, the version of you that might be younger, could be this morning, could be yesterday, could be 10 or 20 years ago. And please place that to your right. And then place the person or group of people that you would want to make an offering to. Let's place that to your left, please. And then come into your comfortable seat. And you can rest your hands in your lap. Okay, please come to your comfortable seat. Rest your hands in your lap and close your eyes. Allow your breathing to bring you back into the present. In the tradition of yoga, having a ritual or an offering or doing the sacred practices, having an altar, these are all very much a part of the path and the tradition of yoga. So as you take your seat, lengthen your spine, lift your heart, drop your breath down into your pelvis, into your abdomen. And notice already the kind of felt sense as you have reached for an object that represents your inner teacher or the person who gave you awareness of that inner teacher. And the experience of finding an object that represents a part of yourself that was once suffering. And the object that represents the people or those who are right now struggling, to whom you'd like to offer the merits of your practice today. It's possible that your inner teacher or this external teacher that helped you to awaken your inner self, that was extremely helpful to you with the part of you struggling, and now gives you the opportunity to also share the merits of your practice with someone else who is struggling. So these are interconnected. Please raise your hands to your heart. And we'll chant Sahana Vavatu, Sahana Bhunaktu. And let's begin. Om Sahana Vavatu, Sahana Bhunaktu, Savidyang Karavavai, Tejasvinavadhitamastu, Ma Vidveshavahi. Om Sahana Vavatu, Sahana Bhunaktu, Savidyang Karavavai, Tejasvinavadhitamastu, Ma Vidveshavahi. Om Sahana Vavatu, Sahana Bhunaktu, Savidyam Karavavai Tejasvinavaditamastu Ma Viveshavai Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Shri Guru Pyo Namaha Hari Om. And with your exhale, you may bow your head to your heart. Release your hands. You may open your eyes. Okay, so my interest here this morning is in understanding our own kind of the path that we have walked, path that we may walk again, where we're going from here, and what's supporting that process and that path. And that is in this indwelling self, or this inner benevolent witness or consciousness that we may have had sparked by somebody's presence in our life, somebody who represented that. And you may actually knowingly or unknowingly represent that to others in your life right now. We don't often know what we have catalyzed in somebody else just by being ourselves. You sometimes don't know that the kind hand you put on somebody's shoulder was a transformational moment for them. But where does that kindness come from? From where? Inside. We also have all had experiences of that being blocked, that we have forgotten our very self. It was obscured to us, or we didn't know, or we took ourselves to be all that heavy conditioning that seemed like it was more real than this inner teacher. And so today, may we come from that inner place and see what it would be like to include this past version of yourself that was once suffering, like, hey, thanks for suffering enough to guide me to want to know something more about myself or about life. And may I now be able to offer to others just by my own presence, like this candle is offering its light. And it's doing so, even though I'm sitting here, it's offering it in a full spectrum way. It's not saying as a candle, I must make this effort to transform Sarahjoy. It's just offering itself as a flame, as a light. So this is my request of you. And let's use the physical body to get a sense of this really just coming through us. So interlace your fingers, press the heels of the hands straight down. And then inhale and raise your arms slowly up overhead at the pace of a full breath. As you exhale, keep reaching upwards, but also root down through your sitting bones and your tailbone. Then breathe in again. And then exhale, press your arms wide out to a T shape. Inhale, stretch to the sides of the room. And exhale, bring your hands down into the mudra for the first chakra. And to give us access to that inner space that's not crowded by conditioning, we're going to do the bhastrika breath. So big inhale out, big exhale, exhale, like this. One more. Now inhale and suspend for a few moments. Exhale slowly through your nose. And deeply relax. And then again, the bhastrika, it's about 10 breath cycles, representing the power of the bellows-like action to help clear the mind and also the body. Let's begin. Now, inhale slowly and completely to suspension. Release in your own timing and slowly exhale. Again, deeply relax, especially your mind. And now kappalabhati, so again, stoking the fire. It's vata season, so we get to do a little pitta practice. It's also to help, it's called kappalabhati in Sanskrit, but it means skull shining. It's helping the mind be radiant. So powerful exhale, 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 exhale through the nose. We will then exhale completely. We'll inhale to suspension. So let's begin. Exhale completely and slowly. Inhale slowly up to suspension using all three bandhas. In your own timing, exhale completely and patiently. And then deeply relax. Rest your attention on the inner teacher. Remind yourself of the presence that you brought into your room by the object that represents that which awakened you to this inner teacher. And we're going to repeat Kapalabhati a little more briskly. We'll exhale completely. Then we're going to inhale left nostril to suspension. We'll exhale both nostrils. We'll inhale right nostril to suspension. And then we'll exhale both nostrils. So a little more briskly. Now exhale completely and patiently. Close the right nostril, inhale left. And then suspend. Release and exhale through both nostrils slowly, patiently. And bring the right hand up, close the left nostril. Inhale, right side only, up to suspension. In your own timing, exhale completely and with patience. And then deeply relax. This kappalabhati brings us really directly to the third chakra. The suspensions with all three bandhas. Inhale suspension it's called a Brahmana technique. It's a building technique. Now we're going to use a very slow inhale called pratiloma. And as you bring the inhale, I'm going to ask you to really focus on first third, middle third, but especially the upper third. Don't leave it out. And don't make the breath go so fast or be so much in the lower that you run out of breath when you get to the heart. This is going to bring us up into the heart, the fourth chakra. The inhale we bring in is going to take a long time because we're going to partially close both nostrils. And so then the exhale is going to be like sighing. It's not a big, forceful, long exhale. So bring your fingers up, partially close both nostrils about halfway, and then breathe in slowly. At the top of your inhale, hold for a few moments. And then exhale like you're sighing. And take in the blessings of the teacher, the inner teacher, and the person or the natural event or the teachings that helps you to awaken to that indwelling teacher. And then repeat pratiloma again, please. So it's a very long inhale for some. Mine is quite long. At the end of the inhale, suspend for a few moments, and then you exhale like you're sighing. Release the exhale as you're ready to. And in the space in your heart, you can bring in both that prior version of you that was suffering and the persons to whom you want to offer your practice. Let's do one more pratiloma, please. In the space it takes for me to do one, you might actually do two, and that's okay. Don't, if it's a shorter breath for you, don't criticize yourself. It takes time to cultivate your practice. And once you release the exhale, again, then deeply relax. And sort of allow for the infusion of, or the imprint of that teacher in your heart. And the space to welcome both the prior version of you that was suffering and the persons to whom you want to offer your practice. Now we'll do Nadi Shodhana for 4 breath cycles, which is basically 2 rounds. And that's just to bring us up from the heart through the throat and into the 6th chakra. In Nadi Shodhana, you're not using Ujjayi breathing. The constriction of the breath is that you're using one nostril at a time. So don't also add Ujjayi in the throat. It's not necessary. Bring the right hand up and kind of come from the top. So it's like this versus pulling down like this. Right? So close the right and begin with your inhale, left nostril, 4 breath cycles, alternate nostril, Nadi Shodhana. Following inhale left is exhale right. And then inhale right. At your own pace, once you've done 2 rounds, And relax your right hand back to your lap. Sometimes following the Nadi Shodhana practice, there's a natural sense of connection to the sixth chakra. Sometimes the eyes naturally gaze towards the space between the eyebrows. As you once more just internalize the infusion of the impression of the inner teacher, and the permission or the space for that version of yourself that was suffering. Notice the size of the part of you that was suffering and the size of the inner teacher. Like, what is their relationship? And then also bringing in the person or persons that you want to offer the merits of this practice. And notice in that offering that nothing is subtracted from you. You aren't losing anything in making an offering. In fact, we often feel that our hearts get bigger. So with that, now please come up to standing and take a wide stance on your yoga mat. And in this wide stance, come down to Prasarita Padottanasana. So it's okay to use blocks also, if you'd like to. Place them where your hands are going to be. And go ahead and come down, energize your legs, including your footprints, and then deeply relax your torso and your head. You might notice that now quite naturally, the breath is a little bit longer or smoother, or like the mechanics of the breath may also be working better. So listen for the steadiness of the inhale, no rushing the breath and no sort of forced slowing down of the breath, but just watch what is able to happen now. Walk your hands forward so they look like they're doing downward dog. Press into your fingerprints and your thumbs. Draw the hips back. And then bend both knees and keep the knees as wide as your toes to the best of your ability. Drop your hips down. Maybe the hips become as low as the knees, maybe not, but they don't need to go any lower. Reach back with your hips and forward through the spine. Let's take a deep breath in. And then exhale, press firmly down through your legs into your footprints and straighten your knees slowly with a full sense of the muscular support of your legs. Reach back now and interlace your fingers at the small of your back. Roll your shoulders open. Keep the legs dynamic as we just set them. And as you inhale, glide your heart forward, open the front chest and your throat. There's your teacher in front of you. Exhale and bow over your legs and down. Release the breath completely. Inhale, glide forward as if the torso were a swing on the swing set or a curtain in a window. And then exhale and bow again towards your legs. One more time, please. Inhale, glide forward. And exhale for a deep bow towards your legs. Shift your hands to your hips and please rise up to standing. Once you come up, let's go heel toe into mountain pose. And stand steady. You have this like little kingdom, right? This little theater that we've designed. So stand steady. And I will ask you to reach for 2 blocks if you have them available. And let's put one to each side of your mat. They only represent being yoga blocks. They don't have another attribution right now. Please take a wide stance. And if you used your blocks as your objects, you have to double their purpose now. Okay, take the left heel slightly out, please. Turn your right foot directly to your right. Please join your hands at your heart. Inhale, sweep your arms wide. Gaze to your right and come down to warrior 2. Now, as you're gazing to your right, I'm confident that you can keep your balance. So energize your legs, take your gaze to your right, but then close your eyes. And imagine yourself being seen in this effort, being seen by that teacher or that catalyst. Maybe it was a place in nature that awakened you. Just imagine yourself being seen by that, which helped you to know this inner teacher. And as you're making this effort, now exhale, bring your right forearm down to your right knee. Sweep your left arm past your left ear, called Parsvakonasana, side angle pose. And then rotate your torso to your left. You can keep the eyes closed. I do trust that you can keep your balance. And try to sense again, you're being seen by that which helped you to really see yourself. Notice how you want to breathe in. I mean, there might be a sense like, yes, you want to fill the whole body, or there's a kind of earnestness or appreciation. And then as you next exhale, raise back up to warrior 2, gaze to your right. And then join your palms together. Turn your feet to parallel, switch them to the other side. Inhale your arms wide. And exhale, warrior 2, gaze out over your left fingertips. You might at first just orient yourself and then you can close your eyes. I trust that you will stay balanced. And this time, let's imagine that you're being seen by the version of you that was suffering, and that you are also seeing that version of yourself. How would you want to be a role model, an inspiration, maybe a source of compassion? And then let's bring the left elbow down as you exhale, come into Parsvakonasana. Sweep your right arm past your right ear. Do your best to keep your balance, eyes closed if possible. Rotate your torso to your right. Reach into both legs and the extension of your right arm, just as fully as you feel inspired to do. What would you want this past version of you to know? What would you like to offer? And when you next exhale, root down and return to Warrior Two. And then inhale, bring your palms together, make the feet parallel. Relax both arms for a moment. And you might sense like the fragrance of your practice that naturally it kind of emanates. There's an echo. Imagine that flowing towards the people or the person that you want to offer your practice to. And let's take the left heel out, turn your right foot directly to the right. I'm going to put this block on the tall setting for myself. You might choose the same, or you could do lower if you want to. So inhale, arms wide. And exhale, come down to side angle pose again. This time with your hand on the block. Let's put the right arm on the inside of the right shin so that you can press the shin back, root your tailbone down. Yep. And as you reach through your left arm, rotate your inner belly to your left. Then turn your heart and then your head. You are welcome to close your eyes. So you could imagine from the center of your practice right now that you're able to receive from the inner teacher, extend to the version of yourself that was suffering, and you have plenty left over to give the benefits of your practice to someone who's in need right now. With your next exhale, strengthen and straighten your right leg so it turns into triangle pose, Trikonasana. And then rotate your head to face down, raise your left arm. Breathe in. Tone the left outer hip, and as you exhale, rise up to standing. And then relax. So just to let all of you know that there's no starving kittens here. She's asking for a treat, but she doesn't need a treat right now. I don't know if you can hear her whimpering. She knows the treats are in this department. Okay, inhale the arms wide. Exhale, bend your left knee. Place your left hand on your block. Let's go to the inside of the shin. Sweep your right arm past your right ear. Good. As you energize the pose, rotate your inner belly to the right, your heart to the right, and your head to the right. You might again close your eyes. It'll increase your need for proprioception and interoception. Also can build your confidence that in fact you can balance from the inside. And listen for the inner teacher and the spaciousness of heart that welcomes both the version of you that was once suffering and the persons to whom you want to offer the merits of your practice today. With an exhale, strengthen both legs and slowly straighten your left knee into triangle pose. And turn your gaze down or your head down and raise your right arm up. And then tone your right outer hip and your low belly. Exhale, raise up to standing. And then relax your arms, turn your feet to be parallel, and come down to Prasarita Padottanasana. Reach back to interlace the fingers again. Roll your shoulders open. And with your inhale, glide your heart forward again, receiving like the glimpse of the teacher. And exhale to deeply bow. Keep the legs energized and stable, please. Inhale, glide forward. And once more, exhale to deeply bow towards your legs. And then hands to your hips and rise up to standing. Let's go heel toe into mountain pose. Place your feet so they're hip distance apart. Totally relax. And feel like, you know, how life and gravity and all the cells of your body, they're just taking care of you right now. And then come down to a seat. You'll probably want to have your blanket close by, but you don't need it at the moment. So come down to a seat, bend your knees and place your feet on the floor in front of you, like this. With the fingers pointing towards your hips, place your palms behind you, roll the shoulders open, and do your best to raise your chest and your heart up. You can straighten the arms behind you. So this is the beginning of a pose called Purvottanasana. Lift your heart. If it's comfortable for your neck, you can bring your head back to rest in the cradle of the upper trapezius muscles. It's only going to be comfortable to the neck and the head if the upper back, chest, and shoulders are supporting. So if that's not something that your head can do yet because the thoracic spine might need more mobility or the shoulders are a little stiff, then you can gaze forward. And then inhale, raise up and put your arms, just rest them out over your knees. You're going to notice that your arms will tingle, the hands will get a little bit warmer. Now bring your right knee into your chest for Marichyasana. Wrap your right hand around, take the left hand behind you. It's totally fine to sit on a blanket if you'd like to. Raise your heart, and as you rotate, you're going to be able to consider that sort of past version of yourself where you say, oh my gosh, that was really hard. And we made it through that well enough to be here today. And just allow whatever emotions or images might come. It's a practice of memory, smriti, or remembrance. I'm going to ask you to sustain your twist without the use of your back hand now. So you can inhale, raise this right arm up, almost like you're giving an invitation. May this past part of you, may that come in for integration. You can release the pose to Dandasana, hands to the heart. And then bend your left knee. Wrap your right arm around your left shin. Take the left hand behind and rotate to your left. As you rotate, you can gaze to your left, but you can also close your eyes. We're going to imagine here the persons to whom you're offering the benefits of your practice today. And I will ask you again to raise the back arm, lift your palm so it's face up. It's not just that you're offering the practice out to them. I'm also going to ask you to then bring them or this person into your heart. So exhale, unwind, rotate back to Dandasana. Okay, please bend both knees. Place your fingers pointing forward again, and this time roll the chest, heart, and shoulders open. Press down. Let's come up to reverse table pose, Purvottanasana. Yeah. This is not everyone's favorite pose, but it's one of my favorite poses to teach, so we can recognize there is strength in the back body. There's power in the back body. So shoulder blades, those support your heart. Lengthen your tailbone, tone the pelvis to support your hips. Use your hamstrings and your heels. As you exhale, keep the chest and heart open. You're looking backwards, but lower your hips to the floor, like a slinky coming down the steps. And then raise up and turn your right palm to face backwards. So the fingers are going to point away from you. Roll the right shoulder open really securely. And then inhale, raise your left arm. Now we want to keep the right arm and shoulder very strong. And for some of you, it's going to be easier to gaze down to your right. And for others, we're going to open the chest, heart, and throat and gaze backwards. And then exhale, sweep your left arm across your face, lower your hips down. Raise up to center, arms over your knees. The right arm's probably going to tingle and get a little bit warmer. Okay, lift your torso. Take the left hand behind you. Press into both heels. Roll the left shoulder open deliberately. Raise your hips. Sweep your right arm past your right ear. Rotate your chest and your heart towards the ceiling. And the left shoulder rotates open towards the direction that your left index finger is pointing. And then exhale, bring your right arm across your face. Lower your hips down to the floor slowly. Keep the left shoulder stable. And then come up and over with your arms over your knees. And the left arm might tingle or get warmer. And then we'll reach for these two blocks. Say hello to your friends, the objects that are on your mat. And as you lie down, remove any painful hair clips. So lay down and let's take both blocks for supported bridge pose. Now it's possible for you that 2 blocks is too much, or you only have 1 block, or you've got your clothing stuck under your block. So of course you can use just 1 block if that's your preference. You also can do the 2 block method where you're stacking them, and your bridge pose has this height to it. Roll the shoulders under and allow the chin to come towards your throat. Lengthen the back of your neck. Now this does become a restorative kind of pose. It's actually a resting position, but there should be some tone. You press into your heels. Let's keep the legs gently engaged. And the shoulders consistently pressing down. But deeply quiet your mind. And allow the breath to find its way into your pelvis. from supported bridge pose, you may then choose to bring your right knee up, right leg up, left knee up, left leg up. This is called candlestick pose or supported shoulder stand. For those of you for whom your hamstrings are like reluctant to be in this pose, you can bend the knees and turn them slightly out so that you're not overusing your hip flexors to hold the pose. You also could choose to do this so that your legs are up against the wall. The inversion of the legs is an important part of the blood flow going from your feet back towards your hips to your heart to your head. And therefore, this pose actually is also contraindicated if you have your menstrual cycle. Okay, let's bend both knees. If your legs are up, put your tiptoes down. Keep the belly toned. And then touch the heels down. Raise your hips, and we'll take the 2 blocks. Now, you have these 2 blocks in your hands. Let's lift the hips, put the blocks on the flat setting, and just place the blocks so that you're going to be right behind the trochanter bone. So your pelvis is not touching the ground. The blocks are literally right behind that bony landmark. You're resting between the 2 blocks for a moment. Let the lower belly drop down. You can let the lumbar spine come down towards the floor. And slowly bring your knees towards your chest. And then begin to raise your knees again. You're going to notice that the blocks provide a massage. I'm calling that a massage on the sides of your sacrum and then right behind the trochanter. And then walk the feet out on the floor. You might notice now your hip flexors. Relax the sacrum between the 2 blocks. And then bend the right knee, place your foot down, pick up the right hip, slide that block away. Lower your right hip, slide the left block away, and please come into a short shavasana. And in shavasana, take notice of the quality of your mind. Like, what is the nature of the mind as you come to rest? It's okay to cover up with your blanket if you feel like you need that. It is a short shavasana. We're going to have some time for meditation here in a moment. And imagine the sort of multi-layered experience of your indwelling self, the past version of yourself, that was once suffering. Maybe there's many past versions of yourself. And then also that intrinsic desire to give grace to others, to give this healing also to others. Invite your body to get heavier against the ground, kind of complete surrender. Please quietly wiggle your fingers and your toes and return to your seat for meditation. I know that was a short Shavasana. When you come up to sit, take the hands again into the first mudra. When you arrive in your seat, I'm going to ask you to kind of make yourself available to those objects that you brought earlier. So there's an ongoing porousness. And allow that practice to steep like you steep tea. Neither the tea nor the hot water are coercing each other. Imagine the merits of our practice, they just naturally flow out like the fragrance of the tea steeping. Please raise your hands to your heart. If you'd like, you can gently open your eyes, and you could arrange the objects now so that your teacher is closest to you. That version of you that was suffering sits behind the teacher. And those to whom you want to offer your practice sit at the next level. And gazing at those to whom you want to offer the practice, we sing Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. May all beings everywhere have ease of heart. May their basic needs be met. May they find contentment or joy. And then gazing at the version of you that was suffering. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. May the part of you that was in so much pain, that experienced that suffering, may this part also experience ease and healing. And then giving thanks to the teacher. And then to the inner teacher. So you may bow your head so the forehead touches the thumbs. We give our appreciation. And then the thumbs touch the heart as you raise your head. And then we can make this offering also to each other. So may each of you also be free from unnecessary pain or suffering. May there be ease in your heart. And it may also be, may that spread out into your family, your community. Thank you very much for being here this morning. Namaste.